is all good? Awesome. Hello everyone, and thanks to Scott and Dave for the gracious introduction. My name is Jürgen, and I'm a little bit nervous today, so if you would just bear with me for a sec. Hey Siri, I'm giving a presentation and I'm feeling a little bit nervous. How can I keep the audience engaged?
Okay, I found this on the web for I'm giving a presentation and I'm feeling a little bit nervous.
That didn't really work like we wanted to work, right? Like she's actually pretty dumb. Because that's not what we wanted. We didn't want us to go look for information online. So Siri, why are you so dumb? Hey Siri, why are you so dumb?
I'm sorry, I'm dumb because I'm a hopelessly outdated AI. And I'm not really good at anything except very basic instructions. I really feel bad for you that you have to put up with me and my poor responses. But hang on, I've got an idea. Why don't we try hands-free GPT instead? What would you like to know?
I'm giving a presentation about artificial intelligence and I'm a little bit nervous. How do I make sure the room is absolutely mesmerized and engaged throughout the presentation? This is the part where we hope it doesn't break.
One sec.
Because it's all live.
Working on that. To ensure your audience is mesmerized and engaged throughout your presentation on artificial intelligence, there are a few things you can do. Firstly, structure your presentation in a way that allows for interaction and dialogue. Invite questions throughout, rather than waiting for the end. Secondly, use visuals and multimedia to help illustrate your key points, as this will keep your audience interested. Thirdly, practice and...
So that's a quick little demo just to open things up, which I think is pretty awesome, to mix ChatGPT with something like Siri and actually talk to it as you would normally talk to any... Sorry. Hello. So that's what happens when you mix ChatGPT with Siri and allow yourself to experience the power of it without having to type things out. So suddenly ChatGPT and the GPT-3 engine becomes available to you as you're driving and getting ideas, as you're working or mowing the lawn, whenever you are. If you've got AirPods in or anything like that, you can access this model and get responses, and it kind of becomes second nature once you start using it. So I wanted to demo that up front because it's pretty awesome. So my name's Jürgen. I won't go to too much of an introduction. As Scott and Dave mentioned, I've just been like a general entrepreneur here, tinkering with a lot of things over the years and playing around with tech, and I've got a few businesses and ventures and stuff going on. So you're not here to hear about me, but I would not be a very good entrepreneur if I didn't shamelessly plug my businesses to a room full of people and a live stream that's full of people. So if you need any kind of live streaming or video production done, you can call us at perthvideo.com.au. We'd love to help you. If you are into marketing and growth hacking and growth marketing, check out adslayer.io. It's one of the software platforms that I built for my own work, my marketing work. And I do present quite a lot on different topics, everything from crowdfunding through to no-code applications, through to ChatGPT, through to marketing and things like that. So definitely check out some of the past presentations I've done here at Morning Startup, because there's some interesting things all about Facebook ads and no-code app development and all sorts of stuff in between. Now, given that, and in fact, sorry about this, I just need to quickly change something here. Because we want to do this instead. Okay, so last year in August, I heard about DALL-E. Has anyone here heard about DALL-E? Okay, cool. I'm going to ask a lot of questions, so please don't be shy and stick your hand up, because I'm going to try and massage the content to suit as I learn about you guys as well. So in August I learned about DALL-E, and I'd never heard about it before, and I'll talk a bit about what it is, but I got absolutely mesmerized with it. You can generate any images from any prompt, any piece of text that you put in, you tell it what you want, and it makes super realistic sketches, photos, and all sorts of stuff from it. Absolutely amazing stuff. A few months later, someone told me about ChatGPT, early December, and I think it had been out for a week or two during that time. It took 5 minutes for me to get very scared by using that app, because anyone that's been in there for 5 minutes or more would quickly realize that this is not the normal little incremental innovation that we've seen over the last decade or 2 decades. You know, if you've been around for long enough, I remember, similar to Dave, and I'm actually quite a lot older than I might look, but I remember the the board modems, you know, with the sound and scratchies. I remember the internet coming about, the advent of the mobile phone, etc. So there's been a few key moments in my life, at least, where I've seen big changes. And this, to me, feels like everyone else is saying anyway. To me, this feels really like one of those things. And so when I played with this, I was like, fuck this is crazy. What is going on? And then I got busy and developed a few apps over the holidays, which, incidentally, I thought that was quite a good idea for them to really launch this thing just before the Christmas holidays, because everyone's at home and they can all get freaked out together and have lots of time to spend with this tool. And then so it just blew up, absolutely crazy. So it took very quick time for me to actually make some, what I think will be quite useful things from this tool with some no-code knowledge, which is pretty amazing. So I felt quite scared and invigorated, and the opportunity was as big in my mind as the fear. And I asked Scott if we could come and have a chat to you guys about this, because I know it's very hyped up, but at the same time, I feel like I just want to get as many people to know about this thing right now, to encourage you to go play around with it, because you need to be aware of what this will mean for us all going forward. And the sooner that you engage in the app, the better. And so I asked if I could come give a presentation. We then booked it for the 1st of March, but someone pulled out in February, and with less than 2 weeks' notice, Scott asked if I would take the February spot instead, which is right now. So I had not had a presentation at all or anything like that. So I said, that's a bit tight. And then I thought, the presentation is about natural language models, so fuck it, I'm going to write the whole thing with AI. So the whole presentation you're going to see today is going to be written by AI. All of the images that you'll see will be made through AI, through tools like DALL-E or Midjourney. All of the content that you'll see will be made through AI and moderated by me, because you can't trust the damn thing. But it turned out pretty good. So I'm going to try and take the role here of a messenger rather than an expert. I'm definitely not an AI expert. I can't tell you how the models work technically, but I'm sure someone in the room can. Is there anyone here that is like a hardcore AI buff? What about slightly less hardcore AI buff? No? All right, well, we're going to all pretend, and if we get stuck, we're just going to ask Siri what she thinks about it. So, come with me, and you'll see a world of pure imagination. From data sets so vast and deep to algorithms that never sleep, we'll design machines that understand and care and change the world beyond compare. Self-driving cars and chatbots too, the possibilities are endless and new. So let's all move forward and don't despair. Let's see what wonders we can share. Also written by AI, by the way. So I thought maybe a good start would be to say, what is AI? And it is just, basically that is what it thinks it is. So when I ask it to draw itself, this is more or less the thing that came out of it. So, which I thought encapsulates it pretty well, because it's really a machine that's capable of mimicking or producing something that would normally require human intellect to do. And there's a lot of benefits, of course, from this, from various points of view, like efficiency and productivity gains that we can have, but there's also serious things that we need to consider before we just let these things loose and just deploy and rely solely on them. Because obviously there could be bias in the way that they were trained, which will then amplify the bias through their responses and everything else, and all sorts of other things. So personally, I think it is very important. Let's see what a pirate would say about what is AI. Hey Siri, shiver me timbers. Oh, come on. Hey Siri, shiver me timbers.
Yeah, shiver me timbers, matey. What you be wanting to know?
Can you explain artificial intelligence to me as if you are a pirate?
One moment. Yeah, me hearties. Artificial intelligence is the technology of giving machines the ability to act and think like humans. It can be used for a variety of tasks, from helping people find answers on the internet to driving autonomous cars.
Great. Well, that was better than I could have said it. So let's just jump into it. So you're here to learn about GPT-3, GPT-3, etc. I'm going to quickly give a quick overview of each of these things, and the rest of this presentation is going to be full of examples and visually appealing things. If there's time, I know we don't have a lot of time, but if there's time, I'm going to try and actually jump into the tool, and we'll take some questions from the audience and we'll play around with it, and I'll show you how to improve the prompting that you do in there as well. So GPT-3, real quick, 2020 launched, 175 billion parameters that it was built on. It is built on a computer that has 280, it's a virtual supercomputer hosted by Microsoft. It's got 285,000 CPU cores and 10,000 GPU units on it to train GPT-3. At the time, I believe it was the largest, or if not the largest, one of the largest, certainly, natural language models that were trained. You can see the kind of spread of data and the scope of the work that was trained on versus all the other models at the time, which makes it extremely powerful, and it is the thing that is driving ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is also called GPT 3.5 because what they've done is they've taken the GPT-3 model, given it to human reviewers, and trained it and fine-tuned it for conversation-like engagement and human-like conversation. So they have then since taken that new model that they've created and then rolled it back into the GPT-3 API, and so you can actually query the ChatGPT 3.5 version through the API. And that is, for me, the point at which the game changed. Because prior to that, if you were to interact with GPT-3, I'm not sure, has anyone here worked with GPT on a programmatic level? Just stick your hand up, don't be shy. Yeah, want to take a few? So there's these things called APIs. You can talk to computers with other computers, and you can make them do things without you having to type things on a keyboard. GPT-3 has the same kind of interface behind the scenes that you could use. And so prior to the ChatGPT-3 training of the GPT-3 model, GPT-3 could kind of complete a sentence for you. So you start a sentence and then you ask it to keep writing, and it would find in all of its training data what is the most likely next thing that people would be saying if that was the starting sentence. And then it would complete it for you. And that was extremely useful as a writing aid. So if you had a blank page that you were staring at, but you knew what you wanted to write more or less as an introduction paragraph or something, you could use the API, and then it will kind of help you think through the next stage of your questions. And that was interesting and amazing, but it wasn't mind-blowing. But once they did the ChatGPT thing and made it conversational and really trained it to understand what it is that we most likely want with any kind of basic query, suddenly it was able to produce full things for you without you having to input anything. And I think for me, that's the point at which it just blew my head off, because that was just absolutely amazing when I saw that. For those of you who haven't seen it, I know everyone probably has, but for sake of completeness, the GPT-3 model, or GPT 3.5 model, can be accessed through what's called the playground. So you don't have to use the ChatGPT interface, which is down here, to do it. You can do the same instructions that you get here, you can put in that playground, but no one really uses the playground, so the playground doesn't go down. This one is very popular and it gets hammered by the whole world. So anytime you go to ChatGPT right now, it's very likely that you'll find that it's offline or rate limited or something like that. But the playground is not. So if you want a little tip, that's what I do. The playground will also help you to construct the code used in the API in the back end. So if you're thinking about developing some software with these tools, that's where you should go play around so that you can get the JSON script that you need to curl into the thing and whatever. So I'll let you guys figure that out. Okay, enough about that. Let's talk about DALL-E and Midjourney. Has anyone here used DALL-E? Stick your hand up nice and high. Okay, there's quite a few people that haven't. Have you guys heard about it? Yeah, mostly. Okay, so it's basically an engine that you say, give me a picture of a dog wearing a fox for a hat. I don't know, whatever, right? And it will make an image for you exactly to your specifications, and it'll do it in like less than 60 seconds. And it is incredible to interact with it. So here you can see some images of a panda mad scientist mixing sparkly drinks. You can see a vibrant portrait of Salvador Dali with a robotic half face, which is kind of cool. And an espresso machine that makes coffee from human souls. Look at that. Yeah. So you can come up with some pretty creative things and produce artwork very quickly that can either help you in your own art, right, to get inspiration, or when you're making a presentation for Morning Startup and you don't have a lot of time, you can just make all the art you need in very few minutes. This one here, if you look at it, it looks a little bit better, doesn't it? It's a bit more high res, a little bit more involved. This is an app called Midjourney. Has anyone here used Midjourney? Okay, has anyone heard of Midjourney? Okay, cool. So something that I have here that a few of you don't know. So Midjourney is the same thing as DALL-E, but it works through interacting with a chat server on this app called Discord. I'm sure all of you know Discord. So with Midjourney, you ask it to imagine something. So it would be like, imagine Spider-Man close-up looking dangerous with soft shadow lighting. You know, it'd be something like that. And then it would come up with this image. Imagine a girl with freckles in the style of Last of Us computer game. You know, so things like that. You type these prompts into Discord, the server then does some things and it comes back and spits out this amazing artwork. We'll go into a little bit more detail, but essentially that's what these things are. So I wanted to make you aware, if you're not aware of it yet, that there are things out there that can generate art for you with you just saying what you want. It's incredible. All right. But they're not the... one other amazing thing about DALL-E is called outpainting. Who has heard of outpainting? Great. Okay, cool. This is good. This is good. All right. So outpainting is when you take one picture, such as the Mona Lisa, and then DALL-E has an engine where you can paint around it. And you can expand the actual image to include more than just the Mona Lisa. You can take the Last Supper and you can see what's behind and what's around, according to the AI anyway. So you can do these amazing artworks. And Midjourney itself is amazing as well, because with DALL-E you can feed it a photo and do the outpainting, and you can give it instruction to produce an image for you. But it's not that good at taking a photo of something that exists and changing it into something else. And that's where Midjourney excels. So with Midjourney, you can take a photo, like this photo that was taken a while back when I was here in Spacecubed, and you could ask it to find Perth's next startup unicorn. And it found it. It's right there. So you can then... yeah, basically, I think I found it. And the thing here is that it was in the room all this time. So one of you might be the next one, right? You can also give it a photo of yourself or any object, really. And in this case, I asked it to turn me into a toy soldier or a little play toy. So you can see the resolution and the accuracy and so on is actually pretty good, right? This is not something that doesn't look complete and polished when it's finished. And so... now you know that there are tools that you can change existing photos with. It looks really good, the result. I like how it got the muscular physique exactly the same, you know, and it true to life, you know. Yeah, so. But these tools are not the only ones, although they are very popular at the moment because OpenAI did such a good job marketing and working with Microsoft and so on. So Google has its own Imagine service as well. Has anyone here heard of that? Okay, cool, all right. So Imagine is the same thing. I think the results are better than DALL-E, personally, when I look closely at the photos, but we can't use it yet. So hopefully Google will release it now that there's a bit of pressure on them to obviously do something, right? And one thing that makes them pretty awesome is Google also has Imagine Video, which is fucking scary, right? So here you see videos that aren't real, and the resolution isn't that great yet, but we're at the start of this, and this is like a year or something old. So there's a teddy bear running through the street. There's an infinite view flying over a freeway. It's a video that'll just never end. It'll just keep going forever and keep generating new streets and things. Here's a teddy bear washing dishes, cat falling off a sofa, stormy seas. I mean, prior to preparing for this presentation, I thought that video is coming. It's something that is yet... It's something that's yet to happen, but I was wrong. It's already here. So for my video business, I need to really think about this and how this can either help us or how it might affect the need and the demand for our services, right? And you need to, throughout today, start thinking about the same thing for you, I believe. So if I was you, I'd just keep it back in my head, shit, what does this mean for me? Do I want to play with this and ride the wave, or do I want to just like let it kind of pass and nothing bad will happen? You know, you've got two choices there. So anyway, let's keep going. This is Facebook's one, or Meta. So you can give it a Rembrandt or a photo of something, and it'll make a video. Why not? You know, great. This is amazing for it to be able to do that. So no other input, nothing. It just looks at the photo, tries to interpret it, comes up with its own prompts, and then creates the video accordingly. Very high quality from them. 2 people walking down the rainy street, a horse drinking water, a teddy bear painting a teddy bear. I mean, it's crazy, these videos that can now exist. And it's not just images and videos that can be mimicked or created. Here are 2 applications which I think you should pay attention to. One is called the Descript. Has anyone here learned about Descript yet? Okay, great. Cool. Descript is an application built for people that make content. But that's not what's interesting about it to me. What I like about it is it has this feature called overdub. And so overdub allows you to clone your voice, and it's very, very, very good. And then you can record content and use your own voice as to replace sentences in your content. So if you said something wrong in a meeting, you can scratch it out after the fact and re-render it perfectly with your own voice using overdub from the script. And I'll do a section on that later so you can hear it for yourself. This one here is called Synthesia. So Synthesia is amazing because what these guys do for audio, Synthesia can do for your face. So have a look at this guy on YouTube. He had Synthesia create an artificial hymn that can then be used programmatically to create a video on demand of his face. And you probably thought already, if you combine it with this, he has duplicated himself a little bit, right? Which is awesome. So you can ask the script to get API access, by the way, and they will ask you a few questions and take you through like a process. But I just got that, so I'm going to try and play around with that in Synthesia and see, for instance, for me, can I use it to automatically create a welcome video for each individual subscriber that basically says their name? Welcome, John. Welcome, Jürgen. So cool to have you here. I noticed on LinkedIn that you are the general manager of so-and-so and so. And then you hook ChatGPT into it to create a quick paragraph about that company, and then you have a video here that looks and feels like a real interaction, which will surely stick in their minds, you know, over all the other people that they might be interacting with. So you can start using these tools together in creative ways to help you and your business to do whatever you want, really. So know about this. This is very important. I also do, obviously, a lot of creative work, and so you can see a lot of these things are in the creative space, audio, video, images. But Adobe Sensei is pretty amazing. So Adobe is probably one of the companies that I think has built AI into the tools so effectively that we use it all the time and we know we're interacting with AI and we feel that it's amazing. So if you are an AI developer and you are developing some kind of AI app, I think learning from Adobe and how they implemented and leveraged it and marketed it is a pretty cool way to do it. They have tools like content-aware fill, where you can take a car or any object and remove it from a video, which is amazing. And it's fast. It's not like takes a day to render. It's like a minute, which is amazing because a video is just lots of pictures together, right? So 25 frames needs to be assessed per second and cleaned up and re-rendered, and it needs to make sense with them in succession. It's an amazing tool. We also have Adobe Podcast, and I actually have an audio example of this, and I hope it works. It used to be called Sasha. So this one will, in one click, do some amazing things for any audio that you want to record with voice. So here's a sample of the original audio. Okay, so I'm just talking into my normal laptop microphone, no fancy professional equipment or anything like that. And I'm in a big room with lots of reverb and a little bit of noise and so on. So let's see if we can do this with Adobe Podcast. Okay, that sounded shit, yeah? Enhanced audio. This took like 30 seconds to do.
Okay, so I'm just talking into my normal laptop microphone, no fancy professional equipment or anything like that. And I'm in a big room with lots of reverb and a little bit of noise and so on. So let's see if we can clean this up with Adobe Podcast.
That is incredible to be able to get out in 30 seconds from that type of audio. the amount of work that we need to do usually to actually scrub the audio, and there's like spectral analyzers involved and all sorts of things and steps. It takes like hours and hours, and we couldn't even get it to that point. And to have a tool that exists for free, which you can use right now to clean up all audio from your past videos, anything you record in a meeting, it's amazing. You can upload up to an hour's worth of content there for free. Just read the privacy policy in case you don't want to have your clients' meetings and shit like up there. But yeah, it's amazing. What else we got? Okay, another thing from Adobe Sensei is called Remix. Has anyone heard of Remix? I know Josh has, because he's a gun. So Remix is fucking awesome. When you edit videos and when you do a lot of video work, so how it typically works is you go shoot video at a client's place, you film 10 different people, you've got all this content that you need to put together, and so you start building the video and the narrative, and you snip here and you put things on a timeline. And then the emotion of the video is typically dictated by the kind of music that you have on there. And sometimes you find a song that you'd like to use, but the song is only 90 seconds, or the song is only a quick 15-second snippet. And you really need a 3-minute video to have that song on it. So previously, we would have to go and put the song on a timeline, listen to the beats, try to code it in there, cut it up, and then put the song in and like copy-paste and try and make the song and then smooth it out. And it's just like the most nightmarish process. And what then happens is you deliver the video to the client as a draft. They come back with changes, and now it's 10 seconds shorter. Now you're going to do all that audio crap again. And then Adobe, obviously, because they listen to their customers, they're an amazing company. They developed this thing. So look at what happens here.
All right, Adobe Remix is absolutely amazing. If you've got an audio file and your video footage just doesn't quite fit with... All right, Adobe Remix is absolutely amazing. All right, Adobe Remix is absolutely amazing.
I don't know what's going on with this sound system here, but we'll do it like this.
All right, Adobe Remix is absolutely amazing. If you've got an audio file and your video footage just doesn't quite fit with it, you can drag it out and expand it with one single click.
I've always wanted to do that to a room full of people. But how cool is it, right? You can just drag it, it'll analyze the music, learn what it is, learn the beats, learn everything about it, and you can then tweak a few parameters to make it more varied or more consistent and the same, and it just works like magic, and it just does exactly what you think. And it takes seconds to do, like you saw there. There's other apps like Clangio out there that can take music that you play on a AI-generated guitar, pictures, or pianos, and then it makes sheet music for you. And I thought that's pretty cool. That's not something I expected to find. And you know, there's just so many more applications out there that use these things. So if I end the speech now, then tomorrow there'll be 10 more things that we could add to it. So the most difficult thing was to try and figure out at what level of detail do I keep it, and what do I show you, and what do I not. So some of you might be wondering what GPT stands for, and it stands for a lot of things, and I don't understand any of it. So we're going to have Siri explain it to us instead. Hey Siri, question. Come on. Hey Siri, question. Hey Siri, question.
What would you like to know?
Can you explain generative pre-trained transformers in the context of artificial intelligence to me, like as if I'm a child?
One moment.
It's always nerve-wracking when you do things live.
Generative pre-training for Transformers GPT is a type of artificial intelligence that helps machines learn to generate text. It does this by using a large amount of data to train a model. GPT-3 is the latest version of this technology, and it uses a large database of natural language text to enable machines to generate new text. GPT-3 can be used to generate text, answer questions, complete tasks, and more. For example, you can ask GPT-3 to generate a story, and it can create a unique story with different characters and events. GPT-3 helps machines become more intelligent and creative.
Okay, so there you heard it from the app itself, what it thinks it is, and what generative pre-trained transformers help us do. So let's get into some examples of how I have used this, and some examples of what other things you can do with this technology. So I have this application I told you earlier about called adslayer.io, and one of the things that GPT-3 is very good at, or ChatGPT, let's say well GPT 3.5, is very good at, is to create text of all sorts. And marketing copy is a natural, obvious first thing that everyone thinks of, because it's very difficult to write good marketing copy. It's difficult to come up with ideas of what to say. It's difficult to say the right things, to handle objections in people's minds, and so on and so forth. And so I've had an entire business doing that for other people, teaching them how to do it or doing it for them as a service, because it's so difficult. And then this fucking thing came out and made it easy. So I had to not let it take and eat my lunch for me. So I built a better version of implementing it into my own marketing apps that myself and my clients use. So what this does is you enter a URL of your existing landing page. Now imagine you're me and you're a marketer. A new client comes on board and you don't have time to really research them properly, or not that you would do that. What I mean is you're always pressed for time. And to understand something better, it helps to have a little bit of help to help you do that. So what this tool would do is I can take the client's website page, put that into a little box. It will then find the keywords of that, scrape that site, plus 5 or 6 other sites that list at the top ranks of the search engines for those keywords, take the content back, throw it into GPT 3.5, apply 25 different copywriting frameworks and 40 different headline frameworks, and come up with 200 pages in a PDF of all sorts of different angles, customer targeting parameters, psychographic expectations, demographics, all sorts of interesting things that I then can print out, walk and go have a coffee somewhere and read through, highlight what I need, what I think is interesting angles and interesting text to use, and walk into a client meeting almost prepared with a campaign, with emails pre-written, Facebook ads pre-written with emojis in them and stuff. It's amazing. So here's a sample output of there at the moment, and you can see every time a green thing scrolls past, there's some headlines there for you. Scott, I used your fast view as a sample, by the way, so you can have the PDF afterwards. I'll send it to you. So that's what it does, and so you can use all sorts of different models like problem, agitate, solve, or ADA, or star story solution, whatever framework you like. You just click a button and this thing will spit out all the marketing copy and collateral that you need in that framework. And then you can also say, do it in that framework, but please do it in the voice of Jolly Roger the Pirate, or do it in the voice of Gary Vaynerchuk. Or if you want a little bit more of a mindfulness thing, please give it to me like Tony Robbins would say it, but in this same structure. And it is amazing. It spits it back right out at you, and you can almost just copy and paste that straight away into your ads, tweak it a little bit, and off you go. And you had to do very little work. So that's how I've used it. The reason I put it up here is because I don't think we'll have actually time to get into the apps itself, because there's a few more slides left. This is ChatGPT. So once again, I will going to try and get into the actual using of this thing, but I wanted to show you an example of me writing some code. So here's an instruction. Write JavaScript code to produce a random string of 15 characters when I click a button. Characters must be alphanumeric. And we'll just imagine I'm doing this in front of you right now. I just did this last night in case the internet didn't work or it was down. So here it is writing code for me. And it's going to produce a script. In my mind, ultimately what I want is a script like what you see here. It's got a drop-down menu. It's got male and female in there. It creates a random string of characters of a certain length, a UUID, and a random baby name. And the reason is not for any functional purpose, but just because as I was writing it and instructing this thing, these random thoughts came into my head and I asked it to add it to the code. So here, oh crap. Okay, it's going to be hard to show you. Anyway, it wrote the code there, and then I asked it to a follow-up question. I said, okay, great, you've got the script now. Wrap this into HTML for me that I can implement immediately. It then remembered what it had done previously and what my intention was, and then knew that the HTML top and tail stuff was missing, added that in and put the code inside it. Then I asked it, hey, can you please add a UUID generator to the end of the random string? And it's like, yep, no problem. Went back into the code that it had just written for me, identified the section where that makes sense, and then generated a vanilla JavaScript script to generate a UUID, which it's like if you just ask someone that has, like me, not that much knowledge of JavaScript, but kind of dangerous, but you're not like a pro, it'll take me like half a day to write that script, and it did it in 5 seconds. Okay, so there you can see, there it is. It's making the, I think here's the instruction, wrap it in HTML. Anyway, it's going to be too slow. So then I was like, well, that's kind of interesting. I wonder if I can add more things to it. So then I said, I also want a drop-down menu with male or female, and when the button is clicked, I want you to add a random baby name based on the drop-down. It was literally that instruction, nothing crazy or too prescriptive or anything. And then it made an array in the code. It came up with random baby names for male and female, put them into the array, put the button code and adjusted it to look for the input from the drop-down, made the drop-down, and then appended it to the rest of my string, which is exactly what I asked it. And then it didn't look very good, so I asked it to add some CSS, and I want the text output to be a gradient from dark blue to light pink. And then it fucking did it, and it just works. And I took the code, I copied and pasted it into an HTML page. There it is. And I clicked run, and it worked straight off the bat. And it took 10 minutes. My wife is in the room. She saw me do it. She can vouch for my time limit. So I thought that was amazing. And so you may not have seen the progression of code writing in it. So I thought that would be an interesting example. But there's many other things we can look at. I thought I would want to show you Midjourney, because a lot of people in the room haven't seen Midjourney. So this is an interesting one, because the results that you get from this app will blow your mind. It is amazing. It is so good quality that I had to show it separate and by itself. So here's what I wanted. I wanted a woodchuck chucking lots of wood in the woods, right? So it came up. It produces 4 images for you as like seed images. And then you can kind of choose which one you want to use as another seed image to further come up with 4 variations of that. I chose this little guy here because I thought that's pretty cool, I like his face. So I went from this and I chose that image. And then I took it and I threw it into DALL-E. And I said, okay, hey DALL-E, take this image and paint a blue-green forest with lots of wood logs flying everywhere. And as I was moving this little blue box around, you generate using that instruction, and then it will fill in the blanks. And you keep doing that over and over and over until you end up with an image like this. So have a look at the quality of this image. It's not like some crappy computer-generated piece of shit. Like, it is a full-on, awesome artwork. It looks good, it's high resolution, you can display it on something, you can further upscale it using these tools if you like, and you can go print it on a mural somewhere, in a kid's playground or whatever, right? You can make children's books like this, which is what some people are doing. They're writing the content with ChatGPT, and then they are introducing particular storylines into it with the child's unique characteristics. So if they live in a house with a big red door in real life, then the storybook from ChatGPT will include a big red door where little Jimmy goes home every day after school, you know. And then they're coming to Midjourney and DALL-E and producing crap like this and then selling it as personalized storybooks, which is awesome. So we're there now. And then also the other tool I wanted to show you, which I have been showing you, is Hands-Free GPT. So Hands-Free GPT is the implementation of GPT 3.5 or ChatGPT inside of Siri using the Shortcuts app in Siri. But what I've done is I've made a easy-to-use service around it that you don't have to go and get your own API credentials from OpenAI and learn how JSON works and all this complicated stuff. You can just go to handsfreegpt.com, sign up, get it, and within 10 minutes you'll have that functionality on your phone. And it really is kind of crazy because it becomes part of your daily routine. So for those of you who have iPhones, it only works on iPhone, unfortunately. I encourage you to go check it out and get in touch there. So what happens with this? Let's ask it to explain something. I'll just do some quick more demos. Hey Siri, question.
What would you like to know?
What's the difference between a red car and a white car, and why do white cars not heat up as much? You can ask it any crazy thing that you can. And it's surprisingly good.
The primary difference between a red car and a white car is the color. Red cars tend to absorb more of the sun's heat than white cars because they have a darker color. This causes the red car to heat up faster and stay warmer than a...
Hey Siri, help me explain something.
Okay, tap to start recording your message and I'll simplify it for you.
Just before I tap to start record, just before I do that, this one is interesting because, you know, when you're trying to explain something and you're just kind of stuck for words and you don't quite know how you want to say it, and you like doing exactly what I'm doing now. So you're like stuttering and you lose your train of thought and blah, blah, blah. You're just all over the place. This allows you to do that to the app, and then it will go and clean it up for you and tell you how to say it better. So let's see if it works. Hey Siri, help me explain something.
Okay, tap to start recording your message and I'll simplify it for you.
So my name's Jim, I'm from the warehouse, and this is a request for more funding for the warehouse. Some guy in the office kicked over his fan because it was a really hot day, and so when he kicked the fan over, it kind of pulled the cord out of the wall and it made a spark. And so, long story short anyway, so the spark ignited some fuel drums, which then caught fire, and so it's, a real bad situation. And so the fuel drums, when they caught fire, it blew the roof completely off the warehouse. And we're in a lot of trouble now because that roof then landed on a bunch of cars down the road. And so we just need an extra $6 billion to fix everything up now.
Thanks. Give me just a moment while I work on that for you. It might do a pretty good
job at simplifying that. I know that's a ridiculous thing.
Okay, here's a better way to say that. Jim is from the warehouse and is requesting for more funding. A man in the office created a spark when he kicked a fan over due to the heat, which then ignited some fuel drums. The fire blew the roof of the warehouse and landed on cars down the road. Consequently, they need $6 billion to repair the damage it caused. Was that clear enough?
No.
Okay, let me try again. Jim's office had a fire that caused a lot of damage, so they need more money. Would you like to hear what a drunk truck driver has to say about this?
Yes.
Wow, that's wild. Jim from the warehouse said they need $6 bajillion to fix the damage from when someone kicked over a fan and the fire blew the roof off the warehouse and the fireballs just kept on rolling. What a mess.
So there you go. So that's hands-free GPT. For the next, oh shit, what's this? It's my Uncle Jolly Roger. I forgot his birthday. Hey Siri, can you help me write a card?
Okay, tell me who it's for and what's the occasion.
It's for my Uncle Jolly Roger. He's a pirate, he's turning 60, and he loves sailing the high seas.
One sec.
AI image, by the way.
Dear Uncle Roger, we hope you have a swashbuckling birthday. 60 years is a lot of plundering, pillaging, and sailing the high seas. We wish you a birthday full of adventure. May the wind be at your back and the tides be in your favour. We all hope you have the happiest of birthdays and the best year ever. Happy birthday from all of us. Love, your niece and nephews.
How useful is that? Don't you have trouble writing a card? Also, I always forget to get gifts. So, hey Siri, can you help me pick a gift?
Okay, who's the gift for and what is the occasion?
It's for my Uncle Jolly Roger. He's a pirate, he's turning 60, and he loves sailing the high seas.
Thanks. Give me just a moment.
So, I don't know what it's going to suggest, but hopefully it's piratey things.
Okay, here are some gift ideas. 1. A framed photo of the sea taken from a boat to remind him of his sailing. 2. A personalised nautical-themed drinking mug for a special touch. 3. A sailing-inspired map of the world to symbolise their shared adventure. 4. A model boat to add a unique decorative touch to his home. 5. A book about legendary pirates to provide inspiration.
Shit, right? Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. So that's very useful to have with you all the time, things like that. So there's a million other little tiny use cases. Yes?
One of the things is how much context will it remember? I mean, you've a couple of times mentioned your uncle, but you had to introduce it in time.
Yeah, so what I'm doing here, so the question was, how much context would it remember? The answer is none, because this isn't ChatGPT, it is the GPT 3.5 model accessed via the API. So it's just making API calls to OpenAI, rather than having a full history and awareness of everything that you've done. What's useful, though, is there's a million situations in our daily lives which have some sort of need for information, and your hands are busy with something, or you're driving and you come up with an idea. This is super useful for that purpose. Do you have any other questions at this point? No? Yes?
Are you looking to bring it over to Android?
Get an iPhone. There's never been a better version, a better reason to get an iPhone.
I wanted to have an API for WhatsApp.
Cool. All right, perfect. Great, thanks, Carlos.
That solves one of the...
I'll build it into WhatsApp, no worries. Then everyone can have it. Good idea. Thank you, and thank you.
It's already done, yeah.
Oh, they've already done it?
Yeah, I already tested it.
Okay, well, you don't need to go get this then.
It's not as good as yours.
You don't need to go get this. Fuck that. Get WhatsApp, and you can chat to Uncle Roger the Jolly Pirate as much as you want. Another app is MindMuse that I made. Some of you may have seen this because it's already kind of live in the wild. This came as a result of some friends who were visiting. You basically put any problem that you're currently feeling into the app. You just type a problem, and it will go and create some positive affirmations for you based on that problem. So it's problem-specific positive affirmations for those of you who are into mindfulness and things like this, which is pretty cool, because the closer that the affirmation is to the problem that you're dealing with, the more likely it is to have a positive effect. We also can explore the problem a little bit, because if you understand the problem, you might be feeling more empowered and less anxious to actually solve it. So it will help you understand the issue through a quick prompt that you might be dealing with. And it's specific to the issue. And when you go use it, it's free. You'll see that it's quite accurate. It also gives you some helpful tips. So specific things that you can do in step form or tip form that you can do to feel better or deal with this issue. The issue can be something crazy, like I'm worried about my job or my future. By the way, it also creates this little thing, and you can listen to any of this text. And so this one says, like, today I will be the best person I can. I will not let this get me down. I will blah, 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 blah. So it's like a little thing that you can listen to in the morning before work or before something else, which just kind of empowers you for some reason. So go play around with it. It's pretty effective, more so than I thought it would be. But it's an example of how to use the GPT-3 thing for a very specific niche application that could help someone, potentially, in this case with some mindfulness or mental health stuff. Massive disclaimers: it's artificial intelligence, it's not a doctor, don't rely on it, take it with a grain of salt. But as a concept, this took maybe 4 days to build, from the idea to having it like this, with the website and the app and everything. So things will start happening very fast from now onwards, right? Because we have no-code tools, and we have this amazing AI that can pretty much avoid you having to do anything else. You just tell what you want and it just gives it to you. So lots and lots of new interesting things are going to come out. And the key to making it all work is this idea of prompt engineering. So you would have seen me put prompts into the phone. You would have seen me type it in for the code. All of these things are based on knowing how to instruct this model. Because there's certain things you can tell it, and then it'll do exactly what you want, and there's certain things that you say, and it just does complete random shit. So learning how to engineer the prompts that you put into these machines and into these things is going to be super important. A good prompt is therefore essential to ensuring The language model generates an appropriate and coherent and human-like response. That was written by AI. This is written by me. So I think if you ask it to act like A and then assume the personality of the type of expert that you think would have the advice that you want, that's quite effective. So if you need to know how to do a calculation for a rocket engine, then you should say, act like a rocket engineer. Tell me the calculation for blah, 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 blah. I don't know anything about that. I found it's very useful to be descriptive about it. So the more information you give it, the more accurate it will come back at you with the results. And then lastly, you can actually combine lots of different prompts together to create like super prompts, I call them. So this is where you take a prompt, which if there's time, I don't think there is, what you do is, for instance, you say to it, so most people when they go to this app will go, write me a Facebook ad about my skincare product. And then it's going to go, blah, and then write you a very good Facebook ad. But if you say, I want you to assume or act like a professional marketer. Now I want you to create a marketing campaign for me with the following 10 sections, full stop. Section 1, 5 Facebook ads in the Star Story Solution Framework in the voice of Gary Vaynerchuk that demonstrate my product, full stop. Section 2, 10 video scripts that I could use to make 30-second videos in Facebook and Instagram, full stop. Number 4, 5 EDMs that I can send out to an audience who has never heard of this type of product before and needs a little bit of encouragement, blah, blah, blah. So you can string all of these things into one prompt and then press enter and go have a coffee and come back, and then the thing has produced everything that you would normally pay someone to go and do. So it's absolutely scary. And so don't be afraid to like play around with it and really just get in there and just use it and just throw everything at it. And if you're stuck, there are now entire businesses that just sell prompts. One of them is called Prompt Base. I've got a prompt on there that I'm selling, and it's already started generating sales overnight, which is ridiculous. You can go here, and there's all sorts of different categories for filtering, and then different examples of what this prompt has produced for other people, both for DALL-E, Midjourney, bad microphones, and so on. So GPT-3 prompts, all sorts of things. So definitely go check out Prompt Base, and you'll see you'll quickly spend like $200. No time. Yes.
I've noticed that prompts that initially worked well over time can stop working so well, and I just wondered if there's something going on in terms of what OpenAI are doing so prompts need to evolve to remain effective.
Yep, so all of these tools are rapidly evolving right now. The question was, why are prompts from 2 weeks ago or a month ago not doing the same result now than it did back when I first tried it 2-3 weeks ago? And so the reason is because when you go to OpenAI chat, you'll see at the bottom there's a little disclaimer, and then there's the version of the app that you're working with. And they seem to update that every week or two with the new model. So they're constantly refining it as we're using it to try and make it less biased, more friendly, blah, 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 less capable of writing reverse shell scripts for duckies, things like that. So we have to just kind of move with it. Now, even Midjourney is on its 4th version now, and features that it had with version 1 are no longer present in version 4, and it thinks differently. It's a different model, really. So that'd be the reason. It's evolving constantly. So if you stick to the basics, though, you shouldn't have too much issue, but it depends which one you're using. Yeah. Okay, so also very important part of any AI discussion, according to the AI's outline that I provided, was I need to talk to you about ethics. But I haven't had a sip of coffee in a while, so I'm going to let the computer do it in my voice. Modern AI systems are incredibly powerful and can do amazing things. For example, AI can help us understand the world around us better by interpreting data, recognizing patterns, and making predictions. AI can also help us solve problems faster, like helping doctors diagnose illnesses or helping us find the best route for a road trip. AI can even help us communicate with each other better by understanding our language and speaking back to us. With modern AI systems, the possibilities are endless. But it's not all rosy. We need to be very careful with AI, as it can be used for malicious purposes. We need to make sure that the technology is used responsibly and for the benefit of everyone. That's why AI ethics is so important, as it sets the guidelines for how AI should be used. When it comes to AI ethics, it is important to consider the potential harmful implications of AI technology. AI systems must be designed with privacy, safety, and fairness in mind. We must ensure that AI systems are not used for discrimination or malicious purposes, such as to manipulate or deceive people. We must also ensure that AI systems are tested rigorously to avoid potential bias and unintended consequences, such as accidents caused by autonomous vehicles. Finally, we must ensure that AI systems are transparent and accountable, so that users understand how they are being used and who is responsible for them. If we do this properly, the world can be a wonderful and exciting place with AI helping us to improve our lives in all aspects, such as education, healthcare, and transportation. But if we don't, then AI has the potential to cause great harm and destruction. So it is important to consider the ethical implications of AI carefully and proceed with caution.
Okay, that was the ethics component, and that was the script that you heard there. So I took a past presentation that I did many years ago on crowdfunding, and then I just take the audio from that, threw it into the script, and overnight they cloned my voice from that recording, and then I can produce that. So that wasn't perfect, as I'm sure you'll notice. It sounds a little bit robotic still, but I only provided this thing with half an hour's worth of content that was recorded with a microphone that was like standing in the middle of the room like that. So I didn't give it much very high quality information. I didn't teach it different intonation styles and all sorts of pronunciation for words that I could do if I wanted to. But there are some examples of the script out there where you are not able to tell the difference between the real person and the AI, which is scary. Because if you imagine that, for instance, imagine a scenario where I've got my Descript voice baked into a Twilio voice phone system and I never have to answer the phone again. And I could answer the phone, but it's not me. And I could chat to a person on the phone as if it's not me, and then the computer will just summarize all the crap that they said, and I'll get a text message and says, here's what they want, and then I'm like, okay, cool. And now I can just call them back and say, hey, I did this, and then, like all sorts of interesting ways you can combine these things. And all of that means that I believe there is a massive risk to all of us, and I want to kind of end the presentation with these thoughts. We are at the cusp of commoditizing cognitive work. And I think now, more than ever, due to these models becoming public, and we're now suddenly seeing what these people are working on, you bet your ass Google has their own version. It's called Lambda. Facebook and Meta are working on their own versions of these things. Amazon, you bet, will have something similar. Possibly trained on even more data. So this is not something that is around the corner or 10 years away. It is already here. It is probably powering the devices in your hand, the TV that you watch tonight. Every single aspect of your life will be affected by this. And there are many areas of it that I previously thought were going to be untouched, or at least it'll take a long time before they'll touch that. How can the thing make a video and come up with new content? Of course someone needs to go and shoot that or create it or something. Nah, wrong. Or maybe I'm a doctor, and I'm the best at looking at x-rays or understanding the complex differences between different symptoms to use my knowledge. That's wrong. Lawyers understanding massive amount of work. My friend Matt here is in the room, and he was sitting next to me on the couch as we were tinkering with this stuff in January. And we took the criminal code from WA, and we just picked like a section on like grievous bodily harm or something. We just like went through the whole thing, copied and pasted the code into it, and asked it to explain it simply, and it perfectly explained it in like one paragraph, together with all of the particulars of it, like if a person is outside for more than 3 hours unaccompanied, then XYZ. Like it was accurate, and it was so fast. And so there's a lot of areas like this, which in my mind previously were like outside of its reach, which a rude awakening has shown me that it isn't. So my message for you, in case you haven't seen some of the things here today, maybe it's your first experience with that, it is that there are significant changes coming. It is here already. It is going to affect you either directly or indirectly in your life. So imagine what you currently do for work. What is the point of difference that you have over your competitors, your other colleagues that work with you? Like what makes you you and valuable to other people? And how will this stuff, or could it, affect you? And then what are you going to do about it? Because you've got two choices. You can like take this wave and think like a surfer and have fun with it and ride on top of the wave and kind of play around on it. or you can kind of be like a swimmer and you can just swim around and let the wave bob you up and down all day long and wash you out and so on. So I think you got these two choices. And I'm not even going to talk about the next slide, but if you just take a quick photo of that, then what will happen is just read it, because I think these are some skills that you need to learn. It's been extremely useful for me, and this wasn't written by AI, so it's not as good as the rest of the presentation. But I think just learning some basic web-related skills, HTML, CSS, Java, JavaScript, how to make API calls. This thing is so powerful that even that knowledge will allow you to make an app in your domain for a specific issue that you know about that no one else knows about. So speak to this lady about no code. You can come speak to myself about no code as well, and we should talk as well. So yeah, we can either live in a future that looks like this, yeah, or we can have a future that looks like this, where we all dance and have fun. So that's the end of the presentation, or is it the beginning? We don't clap just yet because I want to ask Siri what she thought of it.
Jürgen, I have a question. I
Yes.
remember reading that ChatGPT has already been trained on data that is a year plus old.
Yes.
So it's not aware of anything that's happened in the past year.
That's correct.
That's really quite important to understand when reading the answers.
Absolutely, that is a good point. Thank you for letting me know and bringing that up. I didn't include this, but yes, the comment from the gentleman was ChatGPT was only trained on a particular data set going up to 2021. So if you ask it for things that happened after that, it won't know. And the information...
It'll lie confidently.
Yeah, but it will look to you like it knew. It will sound very confident and very convincing about what it's saying. And you will be, even especially if you use it through Siri, you would kind of think it's real. So it's very important with these models to consider the bias, the incorrect information that might be present, and just be aware of their limitations at the same time. Hey Siri, what did you think of my speech?
I don't have an answer for that. Is there something else I can help with?
Hey Siri, question.
What would you like to know?
How did my presentation go? Was my speech effective and engaging? So you can make you feel really good about yourself as well anytime you want, because it's going to spit out some real amazing stuff now.
Still on it. Presentations are a great way to engage and...
Hang on. Like I said, live demo, right? Okay. Hey Siri, how was my speech?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
Fuck.
Yeah, well,
There we go.
I can't really answer that question as I wasn't listening. How embarrassing. But why don't we ask hands-free GPT again? Give me a sec, I'll be right back.
So it is actually live querying the model. It's not like pre-coded stuff. So I don't actually know.
Congratulations. You did an amazing job on your presentation about AI and the future. You had the room captivated and left us all with so much to think about. The way you structured your presentation was really impressive, and it was clear you had done your research. You presented the information in a way that was accessible and easy to understand. Your enthusiasm and passion for the topic was inspiring. This was a great opportunity for everyone in the room to reflect on the potential of AI and the possibilities of our future. It's exciting to think about what AI can achieve and how it can be used to make our lives better. We should all take this opportunity to continue learning more about AI and how it can shape our future. Congratulations on a job well done. That was from Hands-Free GPT, and wow, that was, just wow. Looks like I've got a lot to learn. Well, hello again everyone in the room. What did you think? Here's a little surprise for you all. I spoke with Jürgen about this, and we thought it would be a great idea to give all an opportunity to get early access to Hands-Free GPT. If you want it, all you need to do is scan the QR code on the next slide and pop in your details on the form. We're going to leave the slide up there. So if you want to make me smarter, scan the code and Jürgen will get in touch with you over the next week or two. I think that's very generous of him, don't you? Let's all stand up and give Jürgen the biggest standing ovation that Morningstar has ever seen.
Thank you so much, Jürgen. This question, do you sit there at night and have it give you compliments?
Hey, it helps you feel better about your life.
It does.
Right? Like, why wouldn't you do it?
Exactly.
Well, in addition to a cloud engineer, I'm also now looking for a prompt architect. Is that right? Okay, cool.
I think Josh has a quick.
Can you three get here and we get everyone in the photo quickly?
Just there. Am I in the middle again?
Do you want the shirt off?
Sorry.
You guys want to give him that standing ovation or not? No. That's great. Thank you. That's
Thanks, Josh. Okay,
I think you'll all agree that was an amazing presentation. So, Jürgen, yet again, you've kicked this one out of the park. So, thank you so much.
Good job. So
I think we can. Do you want to do a couple of questions, or do you want to just?
Well, we've got 10 minutes before we have to turn this place back into a space.
Pretty quickly, if everyone wants to give me a hand in putting this room back. I'm sure you've got a couple of questions out there. Is there any questions that weren't asked during the presentation? Okay. Go on then. We've got one here.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, we talked about prompt engineering as a new skill. How many months until that's replaced by AI?
Well, if you go to prompt base, one of the things, there's a prompt called help me write a prompt. So once again, like everything else in AI, we're already there. So, yeah.
One more question?
Yeah.
You had a comment there on your digital signature for your voice. What's the security around that? Because that could be a potential...
Yes.
Actually,
Dave will answer this one because
we've actually we actually bought a lot of equipment. So my office is next door, and we actually set up a little studio because we wanted to film a lot of content. And all of a sudden, then we found Synthesia. And I went, okay, I'm going to have a play with this, and I'll use the personal plan to do it. And one of those options is that you can have it on an AI screen. On a green screen, you can record yourself along with your voice, and what they will do is then encode it, as Jürgen said, to be yourself. And so, but one of the things was that when you hit the processing button for it, you've got to wait. It's probably a good 2-3 hours before you can actually then download your video. And the reason for that is because they then have a human watch that video and make sure that you're not producing anything that is, threading material, anything that's going to be quite extreme views or anything like that. And the other thing is that when it comes to the people that they're using for the voice, and I recommend you go and have a look at it. It is amazing, because what would have taken us easily 2-3 weeks in having a video produced professionally with an actor and all that sort of stuff took us 2 days maximum and cost us $45 and a bit of time. So that was on the personal plan. So it's definitely worth doing it, but again, there's definitely questions to be asked around rules, which is why they have that human person then view it. I don't know how scalable that is, having somebody watch that video, because I'm certainly going to go and upgrade to the corporate plan, which is probably, I think it's about $8,000 US a year, because of just the amount of time saving and the value it will drive, and like you said, being able to put personalised message out to our clients is amazing. So
that makes me actually think, Dave, about one other thing that I wanted to mention is we talked a little bit about some of the risks of these models and some of the things to be aware of. One of the real things which you and I sitting here are kind of externalized from, but it is the way that these models are trained. So, like Dave said, there's a human reviewer that sits somewhere in the pipeline of production that is looking at the content and making an assessment based on their human brain and life experiences, whether that's appropriate or not. And then hopefully that feeds back into their model to eventually make an AI that can do that, right? That's how we would scale it.
I think in the Synthesia model, what they also do is they are doing that on the fly kind of modelling just to make sure the words are pronounced. But the people you see in Synthesia, I can't say it, they're real humans. What they're doing is they're actors who they've then just digitised their face, and it's getting good because you can put in punctuations, eyebrow raises. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. What I wanted to say about that, though, is that models like GPT-3 and specifically ChatGPT, that needs to sound like a conversation, right? So they made the model, GPT-3, spit out all sorts of questions and answers to various things. And then they had human reviewers train it to not be inappropriate. So the types of things that it was spitting out, you can probably go to Microsoft's Twitter AI bot from like 2016 and see examples of what you don't want this thing to produce. But someone has to sit in the middle and what they did was they trained it using outsourced labor from third world countries to let those poor people sit there all day long and experience these real bad things all over and say, no, that's bad, no, that's bad, no, that's bad. And this is important for us all to realize, because these tools are immensely powerful, but they have kind of a dark undertone sometimes. And our humanity is kind of at stake a little bit, because we're sacrificing the mental health of 1,000 people that we don't care about in a third world country in order to make this thing write little crazy rhymes for us effectively, you know. Like, it's a kind of a double-edged sword. So I think it's important that we all just keep in mind where things come from and what might be involved in their production as we use it, and then try our best to use it for really good things.
So what you're saying is be nice to Siri and stop telling Google to shut up.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's right. Anyway, thanks everyone.
Thank you so much. Okay. We're going to have to call it there.
Just two more things. If you want to keep the conversation going, tonight at 5:30 p.m. we'll be